Sumner County Library board meeting on September 18th. We're going to open it up and we're going to call it start. Okay. So I want to do a roll call. I'm here, obviously.
Cam2.
Kaylee Wilson.
Jesse Wilbur.
Jim Holcomb.
Erica Grammer.
Caitlin Haley. And we also have the director.
Oh, Anita Lambert, Portland.
Gabby Taylor Gallatin. Steve Burton. Connor B. Portland. And then, thank you so much, and hope that Mike will join us soon. All right, so thank you so much. We're going to call for the invocation. Jim, could you mind?
You want to put me on the spot like that?
I am.
All right, perfect. Thanks. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity to gather together and do the work of Sumner County and hopefully work that bless the people of this awesome county. Pray for your guidance and wisdom in our decisions. Give us a heart for you and a service for the people that we represent. Christ, we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
And look, here's my crying. We couldn't frame it. Wonderful. Thank you. Nice to see you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. So right now we're going to call for the approval of the agenda. I would actually make a motion to add something to the agenda, and I apologize about this. But in looking at the timing, I wanted to make a motion to add to H, to make an exception to move Gabby's director evaluation out 30 days, because according to the policy that we have in effect right now, her evaluation would have to be done by September 23rd, and it's the 18th right now. So I'd like to make a motion to add that as H on the agenda. Have a second?
I second that.
Erica? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So then H will be discussion. Gabby. Evaluation. All right, so I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
So moved. Jim, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you so much. All right, now we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes from July 10th. I would like to amend these. I, unfortunately, it was on, off, and the moving of things. Ms. Shannon Bergdorf should have a commissioner beside her name. And so we just want to amend it to that it reads commissioner beside her name. So, do I have a second on that motion? Okay. Or Mike? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes amended. Okay. Jackie, do I have a second?
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Jim, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, and then now we're going to do recognition of public. Thank you. Okay. All right. So first, so we welcome the public to comment in all of our meetings. So thank you so much for the public being here, and appreciate hearing from you. We will edit ad 3 minutes. And so the first person I have bad at reading names, so I apologize if I butcher any of your names. Megan Sanderson? Okay, wonderful.
Where would you like me to be?
You can come on up here.
Okay.
Yeah. And just state your name and address.
Is it okay if I just say the city since you guys are recording?
I don't think, is that,
You're the chairman.
okay. Sure, that I've always seen that people put their address. So would you mind doing that this time? Because as of right now, I think that's policy.
Just your street.
Yes.
Okay,
Just your street.
Okay, I'm Megan Sanderson, on Montreal and Goodlettsville.
Great.
Okay, thank you. So in Sumner County, I worked in the public library system for a decade. Right now, we have 2 active library cards. I'm in a friends group in Sumner County, and my little one is participating in 1,000 books before kindergarten in Hendersonville. And I came here because the Sumner County libraries and their help and their support from you guys, the board, and the county is really important to me and my family. So in addition to checking out books, I've also gotten books from book sales, the bookstores, and the free carts at the Sumner County Library. This summer, I was able to purchase some books for my daughter's birthday. And I also visited a rehab and long-term care center that was in need of a library refresh, and I knew exactly where to go. I went to the public library. I was able to purchase a lot of books that were still in usable condition, that their patients might be interested in, and the activities director was really grateful for that. But then I found out that the night that I took the boxes of books was the last night patrons were allowed to purchase books that were discarded. So I told the activities director to hold on, we're trying to figure it out, and hopefully I can get her some more books. I read the property resolution. I'm not familiar with all the fancy language. But it seems like under General Rules A2, it might apply to library books, that they are little monetary value. That does not mean they're not valuable, but I think most of the books are sold for $1, so they're not really appropriate for gov deals. But I saw that there was an approved equivalent service to gov deals. I was hoping that that might be a bookstore or a book cart, and I'm really hoping you guys could figure out how to get these discarded books back in the hands of people and not necessarily in a dumpster. Just because they're not good for the shelves doesn't mean that they don't have any value, because they've benefited me. And also, the money raised by the sales of the donated or weeded books directly support library programs that my family attends, such as summer reading. My daughter is such a strong, enthusiastic reader. She's 2 years old and 2 months, and the library programming helps with this. So just consider the effects that your decisions will have that are preventing the selling of books or donations, because the libraries are her happy place and they're her future. So just thank you guys for being a friend to the library. Continue being a friend to the staff, all their patrons, and just keep that in mind today, please.
All right. All right. Next, we have Jolene Cannon. Jolene Cannon. Oh, okay. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Jolene Cannon. I live on Walnut Road in Portland. I've been a member of the Friends of the Portland, Tennessee Library for approximately 3 years. As I'm sure you're all aware, the Friends is a 501c3 organization that financially supports the library's community programs through donations and fundraising. The Friends provides prizes for adult bingo, which averages 50 people a week and is quite competitive. We fund the library's subscription to Ancestry.com so that anyone can come in and research their family tree. We provide volunteers for the summer reading program's kickoff events and financial support for the program. The summer reading program saw almost 300 children and 100 adults sign up to participate. The various age groups enjoyed local authors, Mr. Bond Science Guide, an international food tasting, a visit from the Nashville Ballet, a murder mystery, and an end-of-summer film party. A total of 8 weeks of varied programs to keep the kids interested and engaged. and to promote the love of reading. One of the ways the Friends raises money is through the library bookstore, where donated and library culled books and movies are sold for just $1 or $2 each. This year, the Portland Library Bookstore has raised $1,449 as of August 22, which contributes to the almost $15,000 we give to the Portland Public Library, money the county does not have to spend because of the Friends. In contrast, GovDeals.com, the site that the county and the state has chosen to use to auction off surplus property, had an auction of culled library books from Florida that ended today. This auction featured around 19 pallets of books for all age ranges, both fictional and non-fictional. The auction closed today at $1 with one bid. Another auction that closes this evening is a single pallet from Washington State Library, from the State of Washington Library, called Children's Fictional Books and Textbooks. The bidding starts at $40, and there were no bids as of earlier today. Yet another auction of 4 pallets of books culled from a middle school library in South Carolina has a single bid of $1. These are just 3 examples from GovDeals.com. The only listing I found in Tennessee for a book was a single comic book. I'm an English major, and obviously not a public speaker, so math isn't my strong suit. But I'm sure we can all agree that selling the culled and donated books to the individual Friends of the Library bookstore makes more financial sense than to sell them through GovDeals.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And that concludes our public comments. All right. Okay. Next, we'll move on to reports of the chairman. Thank you. Oh, that was your timer. All right. Okay. So I appreciate everyone here, and appreciate the board that we have and the directors. And last month, I referred to TCA 103-104, which is the powers of the board and everything. And so I want to read that again and make a few comments. It says, the members of the library board shall organize by electing officers and adopting bylaws and regulations. And the board has the authority to direct all of the affairs of the library, including the authority to appoint a library administrator. The library administrator shall direct the internal affairs of the library, including hiring and directing such assistants or employees as may be necessary. The board may make and enforce rules and regulations and establish branches of service at its discretion. And I want to stop there for just a second. I want to be sure that this is very clear, because I was approached by a commissioner about the surplus book, and was told that in one of our libraries, someone had stated that they were not allowed to donate books, and that the employee of the library was scared to lose their job if they accepted donations. So I want to make it perfectly clear that the board has no authority over the hiring and firing of employees of the library. We have no authority. And so if that was conveyed to a patron, that the board had the authority, I just want to say publicly that is not correct. Also, with the surplus, and we'll talk about this more, there was absolutely nothing, and no one was instructed not to accept donations at any of the libraries. And so it hurts my heart that there was an instruction to an employee to cannot accept donations. That was not an instruction given to any library. And so we just want to be sure that the public knows and that we're very aware that the library board only has authority over the library director and has no authority over the hiring and firing of any employees. So this is something that I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of where our powers are and where our powers end. And I just wanted to make sure that that was well noted. Okay? All right. That's all the report of the chairman. So I will now move on to new business. And the MOE letter for 2024-2025, I did send this to you all. However, I did send a few copies. If you guys need them for reference. When you want to find something, you can't find it. So, okay. So I printed out a few copies, only three. So if you can share with someone and share with one. And Cam, I'll have one if you want to share with me. And I'm a Mac user. Excel and Word is not on my I know, on my computer. So it kind of printed weird. I tried to do a PDF, so it kind of wrapped around to the next one. So just so you understand that. So I wanted to show everybody the MOE for 2024-2025, and that it was sent to us. This is something, for those of you that are new to the board, as the board chair, I'm going to go to the mayors and get their signatures, and then, to my knowledge, you have to have it to regional by October 1st. Is that correct? Yes. Just right around the corner? Yes. Okay. And so I wanted to open that up, so I'll entertain a motion to open that up for discussion if anybody has any questions. Anybody want to discuss?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the good news is Millersville gets $5,000 rather than $2,500 listed here this year, because Amy brought us that letter saying they had agreed to do that.
Oh, okay.
So that needs, make sure that goes in and that Millersville is getting $5,000.
When did?
She brought us a letter last meeting.
Oh, that's right.
She brought us that letter. I don't think I've got a copy. I think
Okay.
it's in the last meeting.
No, I appreciate you bringing. I just got this
Yeah. The letter
late
said
last week.
that they were going from 2,500 to 5,000, so that's a plus.
So, well, that's right, from the city.
Right.
Okay. See? Maybe kind of like other eyes. So, and did you, did Cecilia give you that letter? Was it the last meeting? I think it has it. Okay. You should have it. So then, and I can resend it. Does that need to go to you guys so you can update this, or can I just update this?
So what you have in front of you, so appropriated fiscal year 22-23, and then expended. So for the 5,000, it would go in appropriated FY 24-25. So you wouldn't need it, because in the past, they've been given 2,500. So last year, you were given 2,500.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was,
Yeah.
so, okay, yeah, all right, gotcha. So I
And then
need
you'll
to
need
put that in there.
Right, and then you'll need to fill out the expended for
Okay. So this is my first time doing this.
Sure, yeah.
So the 5,000, the appropriated, should I have the mayor fill that out? Or should I have it already filled out when I go in there?
You can fill it out.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Great. Anything else?
Not, I know Portland's is gonna stay the same. I did talk to Mayor Callis, and that is gonna stay the same. But, that's all I know about the appropriation as far as municipalities go.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules, for the directors to comment on any MOE issues.
Motion.
Okay,
Second.
Shannon, got a second? Jim?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Wonderful.
Did you say you're going to directors, like personally?
Mhm.
Okay, I just want to make sure, that's what I understood. Sometimes you might be called on here, and it's not people like thinking a lot. So,
Oh,
yeah, give them a
okay.
heads up before you come down, and make that drive up.
Yeah, absolutely, I appreciate that. Yeah, and, I'll probably be, leaning on Jackie for a little bit of this, and she's done it twice. So, any other questions or comments from the directors on the MOE?
I just wonder, it's difficult getting in touch with the city managers. I mean, I sent Cecilia the email that's been read, and sent them to the manager, Ryan Morris.
So I have copy, so it needs to be Ryan.
Okay, I sent all that to his with my letter.
Okay.
I'll
When did you
resend
send
it.
it? I'm sorry. When did you send it?
July.
Oh, okay, that does need to be finished, okay. I see Scott Avery on there, is that not the correct one? Okay,
So Ryan Morris, interim,
Brian.
Brian.
I'll find the email.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks.
would you mind putting me on that email as well? Okay. Okay. Ryan.
And,
Okay, wonderful.
Portland's mayor is not on here at all.
Am
Unless,
I-
oh, it's first, he's
am I
down at the very bottom of the first
Yeah.
page, I see it now.
Yeah.
And then the county mayor is there too.
Mm-hmm. So, John,
Do we need to get you any numbers, or are you gonna get the numbers for finance? For the extended for last year?
no, I'm gonna be asking you guys,
Okay.
so, yeah.
You know, that.
Yes, so I'll be coming to you, I just wanted to make sure I knew exactly what to get before I started, sending off emails. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, wonderful, so then I will, bring us back into the meeting. Okay. All in favor, say aye, bringing us back into the meeting?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? All right, wonderful, so, so then with MOE, we're gonna make, we just need to change the Millersville mayor, and then I will, city manager, sorry, the city manager. And then we'll just get all that. Okay. All right, wonderful, so that's MOE, and we'll get that situated. All right, wonderful.
It's also not the end of the world, it's after October, so I don't.
Okay. I know, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, wonderful. So MOE is done. Yes, yes, of course. Okay, so we're going to move on to notary services inquiries. As we know, we all got a inquiry from Amy, which is the director of Millersville, for notary services. And in doing so, I did contact the county attorney, law director, and, you know, one, he said, you know, at the time, without a library board meeting, we can't approve that. You know, and so I sent an email saying, hey, you know, we can't approve this right now for her getting a certificate. And so that's why I put it on the agenda for today. And so I'd like to make a motion to open up the discussion for notary inquiries on Amy Corbett from Millersville.
So moved.
Moved in, do I have a second? Jackie, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, anybody opposed? Okay, all right. Does anybody have any comments on the notary services inquiry.
Yeah, I think this is an exciting idea. Amy, like, what's your vision for?
Can you have the,
To spend a little, you want
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to do this before we start talking. I like to suspend the rules so that I can ask Amy questions and
Second.
get a better feel
second?
from her.
Wonderful.
Great.
Second by Shannon, all fair say aye.
I'm totally
Anybody
dominating on my mission.
you really are.
Great.
Hey, Amy, how are you? Great. It's been a while since we've talked. Yeah. But excited at this. Yeah, I was excited to see that. So tell me about your vision for the notary service.
Since I started 2 years ago,
Yeah.
people come in regularly, at least 2 or 3 times a week asking me for a notary.
No kidding.
The bank is the only place in Millersville that does a notary, but you have to have bank account. And they have bank hours, so they are closed by 4:35,
Sure.
and they're closed on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Millersville Library is the only place that offers public faxing, copying, printing, and internet access in our community. And that's the service that they've been asking for a really long time. I'm willing to take the bond out personally, so there's no cost to the county. It would be, no money would come in. It's a library service. We do not charge for library services. It's just a need. And last time it calmed down for like 2 hot seconds. I was like, all right, let's try it. It's just, I had somebody ask me today.
Oh, no
There
kidding.
was a notary. It's frequent.
Okay.
It's something you need for everything, it feels like. It's just a need, and I was like, hey, we can fill that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Is anybody else doing that? I mean, do we have, I don't know, a context guide? So is anybody else offering that? So no. Okay. Oh, it's more than, okay.
Now, we don't show it in our brochure or something, but if people call and request it, I have one staff member who works at most 15 hours a week, who is personally bonded. And this is something I discussed years ago with the county about me getting it. But she just does general things. She doesn't do like hospital testing and stuff like that. She doesn't do like things that would cost money to like legally.
Got it.
But she does certain things like, there was one mom that was getting her daughter, this is just for, like a mom was getting her daughter a tattoo, but they lived in Tennessee, but they're like Kentucky, so they had to have it notarized.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know what else to do, and like Millersville, there is nowhere in town that does notary unless you have a bank account, or one place, and it charges like $5, $6 just to get a notary.
Oh.
So it was just something that we can do, we tell them, it's like they can call, and if she's not in that day, then it's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah. Do you guys talk about best practices or anything like that? Or?
We talked a little bit, I talked with my staff because that's who it really affects the most, and so we've come up with, it would have to be by appointment only.
Yeah.
Except for like, we would do like one Saturday of the month, that's a set Saturday that
Notary chat.
that is a notary Saturday. But I didn't really want to go forward and get too many, I didn't want to have to talk to our community about it.
Yeah.
Because I needed to get the approval first, because I don't want to dangle something really cool and be like,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's just that everyone has to be notarized?
It would just be,
Okay. Something too, so Springfield, their library there, they have a notary on staff, and they actually have a policy about what they will and will not notarize. You may want to do that. And I think it's based on what the notary feels comfortable doing, like you won't do marriage, and like things like that. So I would write that down. Yeah, she has a great.
I'll shoot her an email and she'll make sure. That's very similar to what my staff member does, because she is personally bonded.
Yeah.
She has gone through that, and she's like, I won't do, like, I think marriage license is one, and then like will. She's like, I don't want to do that, those very hairy situations. She's like, I just want to get them, the standard stuff that you do day to day, like, it's very rare that you get them major things that are requested.
It's fairly common, I think, that libraries.
because I just wanted to add, I mean, and y'all have answered some of the questions I would have had, but I used to be a notary as well, so like, it is such a big deal position because it's like you swearing on a Bible, attesting to what you are signing your name to and doing your stamp for. And so my questions would have been, really are more about the liability. My question was about who would pay for the bonds, because that is such a big deal, because it's unnecessary and have to with that kind of responsibility. And I mean, like, I do think it is a cool thing to have available. It is something I'm very cautious about because I took that very, very seriously. But, I mean, I like the idea at least of having parameters and limits to that because there are a lot, like I'm involved with ministry, toward youth ministry. We have to have a parent go get it stamped because we need to know that the parent signed that and not a child, you know, that kind of thing. So the parameters are what are kind of important to me because it is just a very serious thing. It seems like such a no big deal because it's a stamp, but it is a serious thing.
So I went to the Nashville Public Library site, and they have a documents we do and don't notarize. And I think if we don't have to reinvent the wheel, we can have a legal look at this, county law director. I spoke with him about it. I spoke to the finance director. We cannot charge for this as a county service. Nashville Public Library, they do have appointments for theirs, and it's not at every branch. And I certainly believe that Westmoreland and Millersville would need it more than any of our bigger city libraries. And the benefit there is that you have Saturday hours. So, so the law director said that he thought, he asked, would we want to take that responsibility on? But I think if we have something in line, I'll pass it around. We could just copy theirs, yeah, and then just go from there. So that way, we know what you all offer in your libraries with their notaries.
So I would just ask that, when you said the notary in your library is personally bonded, she got it outside of, like, it wasn't something that I requested her to do, it's something that she personally, like, she can do it outside of work. But would the library itself need to have some type of, she's the one insuring it? Okay.
No.
Since it's her stamp.
Okay.
And the library is the one.
It's just something that when she's at work, if somebody needs it, it's a central location where someone can come in and use it.
That was a question from finance. Finance did not recommend the county pay for it, which would be us. Or that they could not submit reimbursement for that. And law director said as well. So in Amy's situation, she pays for her notary, she's paying for her own bond. So if she does something wrong, it's her fault.
Okay.
Yeah. The county does not get sued for it.
And it doesn't have to be an all or none, it can be some libraries do.
Right. So like I wouldn't see Hendersonville needing that, but they might want that on Saturdays because you banks all around and, you know. No, I mean, I'm just saying because Millersville has, well, I don't think you can go to the Quick Mart and get a notary. So
my concern with this, and I did talk to the law director as well about this, is, and I didn't even know that Westmoreland had a notary on staff. You know, my concern around this is definitely that we don't have a policy in place for this. And we have a library that's already doing it, which, unbeknownst to us, we didn't know that this service was being performed, and so that's the concern. And we want to know any services that are being performed that would need a policy really need to be reported to us and asked first so that we can create a policy around it. Because if we don't have a policy, we can't protect you, and it could bring other things against us, you know what I mean, and you guys. So in my opinion, I would ask that no notary services be performed in the library until we create this policy. That's my concern, because that way we can have a policy in place.
I was just going to tell Amy, Springfield, Coach Brown, their policy is online, so you can just grab it. Yeah, it's only.
So, and I think then
that, this could be something that we, go through the committee, of the policies committee, create a policy around this. And if we already have one in place, that's great. If that's something that we wish for the library to take on. But again, in my opinion, I think that any services like this would need to stop until we create a policy so that as to protect. But, and I'm hearing from regional that we need to have a policy in place. Yes. So, Jim, you look like you're going to say something.
I would look like I have something to say. It sounds like Westmoreland's, program's already approved, prior to any of us coming here, is that?
Yes and no, like, it was never something that I've spoken with, finance, legal and stuff, a year and a half ago. Like, I guess not before you were on the board, but it was before, like, a lot of y'all were.
Right.
And all they told me, they were like, we can provide this service as a county entity, it's just, we can't charge for it, that's all I was told.
Right.
So, and I was like, with her being personally liable and not the county, I didn't see that as being something, like, if it came back, then I could just,
Right.
you have to discuss this with her.
Right.
David said that to me too, Mr. Mulling, from finance, because we have secretaries in the county building, that he goes, that's what he said. He goes, we have secretaries here who notarize. Like, if you bring your campaign documents in, you can go to the secretary's office and they'll notarize it for you.
Lauren, would suspending the notary services put an undue hardship on the library and the good people of Westmoreland?
So, like, 1 a week, so it was, I wouldn't say it would be a hardship, but it would just be
What, yeah.
and once I give them, like, we can't until we get a policy in the next 2 months or something like that.
Right.
Or what if she was willing to do it on her own time?
She
She'd have
does,
no control over that.
Well, she does it in her own time, absolutely, but I'm
You know,
saying
if she's doing it on her own time, the service can still be performed, it just can't be done until the policy's in place. But it looks like if we could tap in on other policies that are already there, then we wouldn't have to kick this can down the road.
the policy by November.
Yes,
How about that?
and, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or we could even have a special call meeting.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
Do you need a motion for anything to move
here
forward?
in just a minute.
Okay.
Absolutely, thank you. So, just to reiterate, when I did talk to, and it seems that it was told to the law director told, Commissioner Burknorth as well, that, do we as a library want to take this on? As a service, and what I'm hearing from you is that it's pretty common here in Tennessee, and that it didn't happen at all in California. So I was like, wait. So I just want to make sure, and again, in creating this policy, make sure there's no legal things that could come back on an employee or in the library. So I guess then I would entertain a motion to suspend notary services in Westmoreland during library hours while the person is working, until we have a policy in place to protect everybody involved.
And therefore, Amy could move forward with her, after the policy's in place, she could move forward with her plan.
Yeah, I was gonna do
You want that two separate motions?
Yeah,
Okay.
just because then we have to do a policy to be created, but go ahead.
First motion, I move to bring it back under Robert's.
Oh, yes.
Boom.
Boom.
You were crushing.
Just saying. All right, all fair to say aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right, anybody opposed? Okay, so back to that motion.
Okay. I would like to, convene the policies and, committee to get a policy in place and let, Lauren's employee do notary services on her own time, not at the library. And then once we have a policy in place, we can, continue to do that, or you know, up that survey on library time.
Okay.
Is anything else said? Okay.
Sounds good to me. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, by Mike, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, wonderful. Okay, library property transfer, so we'll move on to that. Each of you should have a copy of the resolution that was passed, recently. This is something that, you know, I was approached, well, I was told by the law director that because of this resolution, and it actually came about because Hendersonville was trying to give away some very dilapidated furniture that was basically of no use, and it was told that this is surplus and can't get rid of it. And we're like, oh, what's happening here? And then I was told by the county law director that the books are considered surplus. And therefore, they're creating this new resolution, and that we had to stop getting rid of any books. Didn't say we couldn't accept books, but that we could not get rid of them, and therefore that was the email saying, hey, you know, hold on to everything. We have to wait for this resolution. That the commissioners were working really hard, and we appreciate our commissioners for looking out for us. And so that's why we're doing this. And so the resolution, you all should have this. And
May I ask a question?
Can I finish my thought? And then I will absolutely. Okay. So that is why the resolution was this. We're approving this resolution, and I've talked with the law director about this, and this mainly is pertaining to the books, because once they're donated to the library, they become county property. Once they're bought by the library directors, they become county property, and that's where, when I found out we weren't in compliance, I was told we weren't in compliance, that's what this has to do. And so, in doing so, and then I'll get to you, my thought was that in our collections and development policy, it actually has very distinct places on how to accept donations, how to get rid of them, also how to deal with books that are being weeded, all right? So my proposition on this, my proposal is that, and I was told by the county law director that we carve out part of our policy and ask for an exception for the resolution to go to general. Now, I also contacted Cecilia, regional and state, on this because I wanted to see, like, where is it going? And Cecilia emailed and said, generally, you know, the county doesn't do anything with the books. I guess one county tried to take it on, they were like, this is way too much, like, we're not even dealing with it. When I contacted state, they said they talked to their attorney and said, well, according to TCA code, their attorney feels that we have jurisdiction over the books. However, I would like to go to General Ops and show them our policy and just ask them to carve out a policy to mirror our policy. So, Shannon, you had a question.
So, did the law director email this to you?
What?
That we were out of compliance?
At this point in time, I don't know.
Because I would have
wondered.
wondered why you wouldn't have said that to the board, because we had so many questions about it. And as a commissioner, I got so many emails about it. And I told them the resolution had not even been passed. And so in the information that you sent to us was that, well, to the library directors, was you have to stop, disposing of the property immediately based on the resolution, and the resolution had not yet been passed. So I called the county law director, and he said it was just a stopgap, but I wondered why you wouldn't have sent that email to the board so we would know.
Sure. So I have conversations with Cecilia, I have conversations with the law director, I have conversations with numerous people that is not in writing. And so in doing so, as soon as I got off the conversation, I emailed and said, hey, this is where we're at.
So he did not email you about that?
Again, I don't recall if it was an email or a vote, but I know that it was sent to me. I can absolutely look through my emails and see if there was an email. But I call and email the law director on numerous things and don't know if it was an email or a conversation vote. However, we're now here at this, and so moving forward,
the reason I ask is because we are a body, and so I found that it was, if that were something that were to come from the law director, it should have come through the entire board, that we should have voted on telling them, stop this right now, instead of you telling everybody to stop this right now. As a body, we should have approved that, and I want to make that clear to the citizens that we are a body. And I understand you're the chairman, but the body needs to vote. We need to vote as a body. Otherwise, I could go to any library and say anything I wanted to say, and it would be law. But I can't without a vote from the body. We are the body. And so for you to have, we could have had a special called meeting, and I think it would have taken care of a lot of the confusion with the community. I received those emails as well.
So, and I hear where you're coming from, and, as the chair, bylaws, I'm supposed to be talking with city and county officials, and as soon as I found out we were out of compliance.
Who has authority over the library director?
May I finish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So, I just, in saying, hey, don't get rid of the surplus, it wasn't it wasn't any law or anything, but as soon as I found out we're out of compliance, it was just hey, we're out of compliance. It was an informative thing. Now, if the directors wanted to email us back and say, well, we don't want to do that, I'm trying to figure out here, Jenny, you look like you were trying to say something.
I've been waiting.
I guess I'm a little confused. We were notified we're out of compliance with an existing policy.
Correct.
There's I don't see where there's a vote to be taken on anything.
Correct.
I think our job, whether we like the policy or not, is to be in compliance.
Correct.
And then we'll go sort it out, I think, like has been.
Exactly.
And we go from there. We don't get to pick and choose how when we comply.
Correct.
And then, Shannon, with the emails that were sent your way, did you send forward any of those to Joanna?
Mm-mm.
I did not receive any emails from constituents.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, okay, you didn't forward it.
they were addressed to me.
Right, but you didn't bring those up to Joanna or bring the issue up to Joanna before today? Okay.
No, I've spoken with other county commissioners about it.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
With nothing else before?
no, but I think it warrants discussing that one person in this body, whether we're in compliance or out of compliance, should not be telling, because we vote on whether or not they get to keep their job. And so if the chairman sends a missive that says, do not put up signs. Don't tell anybody, only if they ask. Just put the books away, because we're out of compliance with state law. That is something that should come from the body, not from any one of us on this board, no matter what the title is. And so I think that would clear up so much of the confusion going forward. Just like anything, we cannot legislate from the bench. We are a body, and that is what I feel like our job is to do. Get together. We could have had a special called meeting. We could have had an emergency meeting. That would have helped us as a body, because as a body we will vote to accept their job reviews. If they had, do you really think they would have emailed us, any one of us, back and said, we don't want to do what you're asking us to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've never received anything like that, so I'm just saying, I don't want to put the librarians in a position, and I know Millersville is tiny, Westmoreland's tiny, so to stockpile books for an undesignated amount of time. And I know that was in the past, and I don't typically like dealing with the past, but sometimes we have to deal with the past in order to move forward in the future. So moving forward, I would like it that if there is something like that, we would have a special called meeting, we would rule as a board, and then it would be on the camera, so the citizens, and when if there are questions, we can say, well, you could go to this, you could go to the meeting and see. We discussed it, we ruled on it, and this is what we're going to do. And that is what I would like to, that's all I wanted to address. Did you have anything else to say?
I would like to say something. I want to just say, for the record of conversation, that I don't have a conflict with how things transpired. I do hear your concerns for sure. I don't have a conflict with how things went, because it was a matter of compliance. It was a matter, the way I saw it and understood it was more of an informational thing, a short request for a short season as we got to meet and pursue it further, of how to pursue it with the commissioners, because this is not something that came from us. But I do hear the concern of it might be a better option for your protection of not being critiqued in the future for special called meetings for things like this, simply for to show the vulnerability of truthfulness of what is the intention. I don't think was for any reason of going around anything or misusing your position. But I do think that it would allow a lot more clearness and clarity to the situation, to consider doing special call meetings, and that way it is more seen, because that way our conversation, we could have some discussion, some of the explanation could be seen. There are things like, when it is coming from commissioners, that has nothing to do with us, and so we do just simply have to deal with the moment, and so that's what I saw happening. It is a short-term thing. It is something that we're trying to remedy pretty quickly. We do have policy for this, so I hope that will be respected and be written in as an exemption, not an exemption, an exception. But but I also want to say, the intention behind it, I saw it as just a clarity giver, of giving some, this is what's going on, and this is just hey, if we can just stall this for a second and let us try to remedy this pretty quickly, so that this is not, I will say, I'm a mom who bought lots of books from those sales. Those are important to me. I want the public to have access to that. So this is something that we would like to see happen quickly. But I do appreciate, like, I hear what you're saying.
Well, the commissioners have not yet passed the resolution.
Yes, and I hear that too. I
So-
totally hear it.
And so, I appreciate both of you, and also as chair, and as I understand that we work as a board, and yet, when a special call meeting takes 7 days, it takes all this stuff, getting people together, and making sure they can all come to it, making sure there's a quorum and all that stuff, and I knew that we had a meeting coming up, so, again, it was an innocent, simply, hey, found out we're not in compliance, I got a phone call about it, and the whole thing that happened with Alicia, with that, I mean, it was just all things, and I said, hey, you know what? It was just simply and I asked for the resolution that we were out of compliance, and he said, well, this resolution, but it's getting changed, so by the time I send it to you, it was just like, okay, if we had a special call meeting, it would have been before the resolution was passed, okay? Then we would have been, we don't know if we're gonna be in compliance, not compliance, so it was just like, hey, let's just stop for a second and wait till we can be in compliance. It was just an ask.
Yeah, it's an exigent circumstance, and no special called meeting, nothing we vote on at that meeting would fix our compliance issue. Right.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing would have,
Just wanted-
exactly. Okay. All right,
Understand
so our collection development policy, the donations, it talks about how, donated items considered for addition to the collection consist of like new material in the following format. You know, it says how it has to be the Friends of the Library, which we love our friends, and I'm gonna tell you, it broke my heart to say we can't do anything right now, wait till this. So, they're supposed to have first right of refusal, and then after that, they can go to nonprofit organizations, community groups, given away for free to the community, or be recycled. And then with our weeding policy, it basically says that withdrawn resources are examined and determined if they would be reported or replaced. And then that too, you know, goes to the friends of the library, you know what I mean? So, you know, or given away to nonprofits. So, that's why I was saying, well, I can, you know, go to Gen Ops, send off a proposal that they just carve out an exemption for this, and then also I can send them, what I got from the state, saying that the library has, according to their attorney, has jurisdiction over the books, and we want to be in compliance with our county commissioners as well. So, any thoughts on that?
I have a question. In your conversation, what's the temperature of the room? Are they wanting to give us an exception? Are they willing to listen to the exception? And Shannon, you might,
I called, when I found out about this, I called David, Klein, who at the time was chairman of Gen Ops. This would have come under his, when we passed it in August, would have come under his chairmanship. And he said, oh, we never intended it for it to even be library books, because most of the library books that get weeded out aren't worth $10. And we'll have to make an amendment. And so that was something that, well, we didn't make the amendment on that night. So, and I was waiting for that to go through Gen Ops. I'm not on Gen Ops. So, and it was intended so for interdepartmental sharing. So if the county clerk wants to get rid of a copier and the property assessor needs one, instead of everything going out through Gen Ops, we could share within the county. But he said we don't think that the county clerk will want books, or that they'll want them anywhere else in the county. So he said that was never the intention. The books were never intended for that.
So what I'm hearing is this might be an easy fix.
Yes, it's absolutely easy to fix.
And
We hope it is. I mean, I hope it is.
okay, and it sucks that this had happened, but this was brought on by a social media post that was then sent to the financial law, financial director, and that directly pertained to Hendersonville Library, and so unfortunately, that's why, and there was, a big uproar about that. So that is why the law director is no county property. It's all gonna go. So, yeah. All right, so,
Once we get this in place and they understand it, if they ever go back and revisit, then the understanding will be there that library books are a different, and they're an exception to the rule.
yes, that is my hope.
More than an understanding, it'll be documented.
It'll be there.
It will be documented in there. This is it. No, exactly. So, so I entertain a motion to mirror our policy when it comes to library books, and to propose this as an amendment to the resolution to Gen Off, for an amendment to the resolution on how to get rid of library books that is considered county property.
If I don't have to restate that, I'll make that motion.
All right.
All right.
All right, Eric, is that good? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, wonderful, thank you so much.
And thank you, Commissioner, for doing your homework on that too.
Oh,
And
you're welcome.
checking
Yes.
with Chairman Klein.
Really appreciate it. Okay, yes.
Just quick, point, just want to make sure we get the input of the directors to make sure whatever policy we're proposing is meeting their needs for getting rid of, the surplus books.
Oh, yeah, well, it's in our collection
Hey,
development
okay.
policy. Yeah, so it's there. Okay, public bathroom inquiries. So we're gonna move on to that. So the posting due. Oh, what did I? Library, sorry. My eyes, I'm really starting to think I need new glasses. So, all right, so, library director evaluation policy. So I was contacted by the law director about this, and I've had conversations with Celia about this as well. And as it is right now in the director evaluation policy, it states that there is a staff evaluation, and although the staff evaluation has absolutely no bearing, no merit, or anything on the evaluation, he has advised that we take that out of the evaluation policy for a few reasons, and I did talk to Cecilia about this. There is absolutely no library that has a staff evaluation in the evaluation policy for their directors. And to take that out, one, it has no merit. You know what I mean? So it holds nothing. And legally, you don't want to add more stuff to policy if it's not needed, if it doesn't hold any merit. Also, there's no other libraries that have staff evaluation. I think that it adds to the complexity of the evaluation. Also, it's a 30-day thing, and we have to make sure they have the 30 days. And then I know with Alicia's, I was like chasing, but hey, do you have everybody? Can you please send them another email making sure that we get all these? So it added another thing for me when I was chair to be like, do you have everybody? Is there anybody else going to do this? So in the evaluation policy, it would be to take the staff survey out
which would be under communication tools, and for it to read library director self-survey. And it would say the self-survey would be given to the library director no later than 30 days. Now, we can use the same survey that we created for the staff survey, you know what I'm saying? But we just would now do it as self-assessment because the state does ask that we do a self-assessment. So that would still be in there. And then the evaluation process right now says the library director evaluation will be conducted by the personnel committee. Completed evaluations will be presented to the chair of the personnel committee. So we would take completed evaluations out of there by the chair of the personnel committee to the library board at the next regularly scheduled meeting. And then the library board will vote on whether or not to accept the completed evaluation. So, actually, I apologize. That one's okay. I had it marked just saying that that's okay. All right, so then the communication tools would only be the library director's self-survey. That would be the only communication tool. And then we would do the evaluation. And one thing that I've also learned is that a lot of times, like the chair or the personnel chair would have a one-on-one with the director, and then bring those funding to the committee. So anyway, so I just wanted to bring this up because we have a lot of evaluations coming up in the next 2 months, and you know, as far as the staff survey, found that was a weight, both legally and a weight that wasn't needed. So my proposal is take that out, and then we can leave the evaluation, the rest of it the same, or we can do a one-on-one with the director. So,
Can I suspend the rules?
Yes.
And ask to suspend the rules and see what they think?
yes,
Okay.
so,
I'll make that motion.
do you have a second? By Pam, all fair say aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
I would like to treat this exact same as the original evaluation and get the staff evidence. Maybe the next go round, they'll make that decision, but I don't think, I understand they don't make these changes to it, but I would like one, if she would want, if that is reasonable request.
I agree. I think it's only fair going forward. We've had Alicia was open to the public. I think the other doors should be open to the public. Special call meetings as
That's a
well.
matter of open records.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we cannot adjust that. As far as being the open meetings, it has to be advertised a certain amount. But the staff.
But I think whatever Alicia has had, we should also do for the other four, since we are basically an entirely new library board. None of them has had to deal with us at the board. So I think that would be the most fair and correct thing to do.
I do hear the viewpoint of that. The difference is hers was a 6-month evaluation, whereas this is, and that is one thing that happens one time after new hire. But we're talking about the yearly that happens annually, constantly overall. So I do hear, I'm all about fairness, so like I always think through that too. But as far as it would not be an unfair factor that she got for her annual review. So for me, her annual evaluation, I'll be specific. So for me, that doesn't equal, and I'm all about fairness, but for me, that is different. A 6-month right after hire is different. And we were learning in the process. It was through her 6-month evaluation that of why that got seen by legal, and legal has talked to you since then.
Correct.
So.
Well, in our library trustee training, and so you may want to address this because some of those were quite old.
Yeah.
it talks about the 360 review,
Yes.
which is staff, community,
Right.
and your self-review.
Sure, yes, so, I was gonna wait for a pause in the conversation, but yes, so, every library does evaluations differently, it's up to the board to decide how they want to evaluate. They can do what the county does, they can go their own way, but some libraries do, and they can, in the past, have had a staff involvement, and that's just the staff will decide to, they'll have a questionnaire or a survey of some sort, which I know is done with Alicia. So it can happen, you don't have to require it, but it can be a part of that in the public. And I do think, to Erica's point, if you do decide to go that route and say that the 6 months is where we get more people involved, I think going forward, if one of these guys resigns or retires, that should be stated when you hire a new director, that that's allowed as a staff, just to keep it consistent, that's how we're going forward. So I would make a note of that, for sure.
And I also want to say as a note, I was a part of putting, I was a part of personnel and a part of that, where we created that policy and to bring here for us to all vote on. But I was a part of that 360 concept and thinking through that, and we really thought through that very, very deeply. I do think it's helpful to hear from peers. But the thing that we always said from the beginning of if we do this, it was anonymous, that was one of the cool aspects of it. But if we do this, it would be something that is just a conversation point for us to have. Like, so if we were seeing, some low numbers on some things with somebody or some comments, it would just create a conversation with the director because that was not a determining factor at all. It's not like a fail. And so, I liked it. So, for me to say, I'm sad to hear that it should go in the sense of what legal brought up. But,
And, again, in talking with Cecilia, the 360, and I said, hey, well, what is the 360? And I said, well, our evaluation is 12 pages long. She's like, wow. And it does talk about staff and the public, and that was really what the 360 idea was, that the evaluation itself included staff and all that in the evaluation, in which we do include that. So having the staff survey on the outside actually is not needed because we as board members can go to the staff before the evaluation and ask the staff questions and stuff like that and say, hey, just want to know your thoughts on this. And she said, yeah, she said, actually a lot of board members do go around to the staff and say, hey, what are your thoughts, and all this stuff. So, again, and this is the first time that we've done director evaluations in Sumner County for directors. And so there are going to be some bumps in the road and some of us learning this. And I do believe that is why the law director said, hey, you might not want to have that in there if it doesn't have any value as far as its weight on the decision. It just muddies the waters and all this stuff. And especially when it comes to evaluations, it's better to just be clean, cut, to the point, and done. So, I'm gonna vote to bring us back into the meeting. Everybody, all in favor, say aye.
Anybody else have anything they want to say before? No, okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. And Erica, I appreciate you saying that was 6 months. But, again, just because we did something in the past, and when we find out new information, it's about moving forward now and going, hey, oops, we did something in the past, probably shouldn't do that, so moving forward changes what it is.
So, I propose a motion to take the staff survey moving forward out of the personnel, and anything that has staff survey in there, to take it out of the personnel, the library director evaluation policy. And, however, that same survey, we won't call staff surveys, but we will call the self-assessment survey, for the directors.
So moved.
Okay, Erica, do I have a second? Kaylee? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, anybody opposed? Opposed? Okay, good. Okay.
I'll be all right, don't worry.
Okay, you okay?
Yeah, I'm
All right,
fine.
all right. All right. So we'll get that, and then moving forward, director evaluation. Okay. All right, now on to the public bathroom inquiry. There was, from Millersville, there was a public bathroom inquiry, about the do's and don'ts of the public bathroom. So I contacted, state about this, and they referred me to a PCA code. And then also, there was another issue with the building. Lauren had asked if we could close it, for a few days, and, board, and y'all saw my reply, but don't see any problem with it. I called the law director, is there any policy in place? No policy in place, but, appreciate, Commissioner Bergdorf, for her, bringing in Mayor Isbell, because, I haven't found anything in writing, and I did reach out to Mayor Isbell twice, and said, hey, I want to make sure we follow the correct procedure with this. I'm not finding any policy written, any resolution written. Please, send me something so I can make sure to direct, obviously the board and bring it to our meeting. And I haven't received anything. However, because Commissioner Bergdorf did bring him in, in an email, he said that he has care and custody of the county building. And according to PCA code, a PCA code that the state attorney sent me to, 421-503, it says the commission has authority over this. Now, so what I'm saying is that this is not even a library board issue. And so because of the reply from the county mayor saying he has care and custody of the building, and PCA code saying the commissioners, at this point in time, I feel that if there's any problems with the bathrooms, that it should be directed to the commissioners and the county mayor. That's my thought. I'll entertain a motion that any public bathroom usage issues be directed to the commissioners or the county mayor.
So moved.
So moved, Jim?
Second.
And second, Mike? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, wonderful. Okay. With everything going around, I lost my goodness. There it is. Okay. All right. Westmoreland budget line item change. It looks like Lauren included this in her packet, so you'll find the Westmoreland packet. I appreciate her including this in the Westmoreland packet.
this is, Westmoreland packet. She's basically, well, first of all, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules in case we have any questions for Lauren. So moved. Jim, second?
Second.
Jackie, all fair, say aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, wonderful. I thought this was great news, that the carpet was in much better condition than they had thought. And, so she is looking to request to just do a line item move, and now we have to approve this, and then the treasurer or myself or both of us will go and present this to you on the budget meeting. I think we have to have it done by October 1st. Or for the agenda October 3rd, sorry. I don't see any problems, but, definitely just moving it from one thing to windows. Windows are important. So, did you want to have any comment on that, Lauren?
I can just a little bit. I know y'all seen the email, and then I sent a little bit more when you asked for like monthly budget, and all that stuff. And like we had 20,000 for carpeting, and we were moving shelves, and my assumption was that the shelves would carpet as they moved them, depending on how they're mounted. Ended up, they were not going to mess up the carpet. When we moved, the carpet was in pretty great condition. There's a couple of spots where we have to are able to like patch those, and there's a couple of big spots that are covered with furniture. So it still looks good. It might be 5, 6 years from now, depending on wear and tear that we'll need to replace it at some point. But something that's become more pressing of an issue is that our windows are very old. I'll put that in the email and in the packet as well. I don't think the windows on the original end of the building have been replaced since the building was built in '91. And they are very drafty. Like we've got stuff around the edges just to keep it warm or cold or whatever. And our electric bill this year has gone up 15% the past 2 months compared to last year. So we're already like hemorrhaging funds on electricity. And part of that, we're waiting on a cool patch, so they got a patch on it already AC, and it's working a little bit harder and everything. So that'll calm down as the winter and fall come in. But the main request is that if we can replace these windows with high efficiency windows, it'll help reduce the cost in winter and in summer, just to keep that area in. That would be
Okay. Have you already got an estimate?
I have not yet. I was waiting until y'all, and then I started to call somebody, and then I just was like, I'll wait 2 more days.
So will you go through the 3 bid process?
So bid process is done at 25,000.
Oh, okay.
And I've already got approved for 20,000, so I'll go through getting.
I forgot about that.
And my goal is to get, we have 12 large windows, if you've been in our building, 12 identical size windows. The main thing is the 6 on the old end, but I'll get as many replaced this year, and I already have windows on next year's long range, temple layout stuff, so if we can't get all 12 replaced, then we can go from there. But the main thing is the old windows.
So I called finance about this, and it's not, we're not moving out of categories, it's just
Just what it's
line
out.
items, all within the line item.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion to go ahead and send this to budget this in October.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Oh, we need to go back into,
Go back in.
thank you for
All
that
right,
one.
make a motion to bring it back into the meeting.
So moved.
So moved, great. All right, so second by Erica, all right? Well, first, did you have questions?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? Okay, wonderful. Okay. All right, the next one is, assigned members to committee, so, you guys wanna, Okay. So I appreciate those board members that reached out to me, saying what committees they wish to be on. And so I appreciate that, because it made this a lot easier for me to deal. So bylaws, policies, I have myself, Jen Holcomb, Mike Bryan, Jackie Wilbur, Erica Grammer. Oh, did you see that I saw that my my computer must have corrected grammar on one of them, and I didn't catch it.
R and not A
I know, I was
as long
like,
as y'all know that.
Personnel.
I think I know more
Yes.
than we did, I really don't.
I don't know. I didn't catch it on the other one. All right, personnel would be Jim Holcomb, because he has to be on there.
Thanks,
Erica Grammer, Kaylee Wilson, Joanna Naniel, and Jackie Wilbur. Budget, Pam Teller, treasurer, it has to be on there. Mike Bryan, Commissioner Bergdorf. And facilities, Kaylee Wilson, Pam Teller, and Commissioner Bergdorf. All right. Okay, well, wonderful. Well, I'll make a motion to accept the committees.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Jackie? Second? Second. Pam, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Who's second?
Okay. Sorry, there's a lot of commotion at this end of the table. So now, we are finished with new business, so now we'll move on to treasurer's report.
Letter H.
Oh, H, sorry. I'm freezing, guys, I'm so sorry.
Right.
H is discussion and Abby's evaluation. So again, looking to move it out 30 days from September 23rd to October 23rd, and it can happen within that 30 days. But I'm saying to move it out for 30 days so that we can get her evaluation in, because she's, I think in our email, it says 2 weeks, she has to receive the self-evaluation 2 weeks ahead of time, get it back to us and all that.
So moved.
So moved?
Yeah.
Kaylee? And do you want a second?
Second.
Jackie? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No?
I just have a question on it.
Oh,
Is that just something that the personnel committee does, and then it's brought to the board?
In
The
November.
November, okay.
Yep.
I was just wondering if there was going to be a special meeting or anything that we would have to come back to before the November meeting.
Nope, nope. In the evaluation, personnel, in the director evaluation, it's, do the evaluation, and then it's presented to the next regularly scheduled library meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so
It's
now,
advertised and it is open to the public, so
Yep.
even though you're not a member of this committee, you can come be a member of the audience.
absolutely.
I've done that before.
Okay, wonderful. And so now we are going to be finished with new business and go to treasurer's report, which is board member Pam Teller. Do you have a treasurer's report for us?
I do not have anything of the additional.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so now we are going to move on to director's report. Again, we just ask that directors leave it in 3 minutes, and we do appreciate you sending us your reports at least 48 hours in advance. You guys always have so much for us to look over for 2 months. So, all right, wonderful. We're going to start off with Gallatin. So that would be. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I was looking at her for some reason.
I'll thank y'all everything. I don't really have too much of your time. Everything's going great at our library. Our programs are going well. Our staff are great. If y'all got any other questions, just let me know.
Has the parking circumstances of things died down somewhat, or are we still?
Somewhat. We actually have a meeting tomorrow with several of the commissioners and the mayors and stuff to discuss options on how to handle it. So, thank you.
Where is
That was my question.
It's in the packet. It's in my packet.
She had the same question, I'll see you tomorrow.
Would you mind, Gabby, in the future, making sure to any meetings like this, to send it to the board?
It's been online.
I think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah, we would appreciate the communication to the board. Okay? Gabby?
Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Debbie, I'm sorry, is that here? I'm looking at the email, but I'm not sure.
After the email, here's the agenda.
Okay, yeah, the commission agenda. Thank you.
At 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we're gonna do it tomorrow, unfortunately. Okay, all right. So where is the time of that? Okay, 1 p.m. All right, so, next, I get this right, Henderson Village City. I was looking down.
Good afternoon. First, a lot of us just got back from the fall learning week, over at Public Falls, the Public Library Management Institute, and thank you for granting us that opportunity. We learned a lot. It's a pretty full schedule as far as the library goes. We just got done with all the summer reading stuff, and generations put up. We finally, this week, were able to put 100% completion on reading the entire library. That does surplus probably for right now, but we know that's going to get taken care of. We are about 40% in the inventory, so we are having to do a lot of shifting with our fiction section to make room for the new stuff coming in, and then just taking stock of what we have. As far as the programs that are coming up, I believe everybody received a calendar today. It's not done in your packet online. Ours are very long, and my printer was acting up. It shows in our staffing that we are completely still staffed at this point. One of our staff members has taken on the janitorial role, eliminating that commercial cleaning bill. The building is actually clean there as well, because when we go into public bathrooms. We have quite a few events coming up in September. As it is Mental Health Awareness Month, we connected with the Jason Foundation. There will be a community welcome to the public, come learn about mental health and suicide prevention with the Jason Foundation, as well as connections, which we've already had one with the foster families assistance network, and now we've branched out into Kids Connect to also look at more kinship and refugee families and making spaces for them, as well as making sure that we have literacy programs and plenty of materials just for those. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Okay, Westmoreland, Lauren.
All right, so your packet is much smaller. I'm trying to save as much paper, and one that I emailed you is like 12 pages long, so with sustainability. Still a lot of color in it, but still. So the top page is new faces. For those of you who have been in my library but haven't been since the beginning of August, it is definitely different. Everything but 2 shelves got moved in the circulation desk. I finally have an office again. I'm not in the kitchen. It is nice, but it's every hour or two I'm like, okay, I need to get out and like sit somewhere else because I feel like I'm not in the middle of everything anymore. The children's programming since then has been phenomenal, and people can come in, do their work from home. They can work on, they can get assistance at the circulation desk, and it's not interfering with the programming that's happening. So come on, we'd love to have you. Let me know if you're coming. Jim surprised me, and when we came back from PMI on Friday, Saturday was my 5-year anniversary with my husband and all this stuff. I was recovering from the week, and I got a message from one of my staff, and they were like, hey, Jim's here. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would be there any other Saturday.
It was not accepted.
Oh, I know. But I texted him back, and I was like, just be nice. Be nice. Be nice. Fabulous. I really do not ever worry about leaving the building in their hands. I do have a great group of people. And then just the comparisons, some things I wanted to show y'all. July, our program attendance looks down from last year, but on average at each program it did go up this year compared to last year. And then for August, I just wanted to brag on my staff. They are great. We were closed, not closed to the public, but we had 0 programming for 3 weeks after summer reading. I was out of town for 1 week, and then 2 weeks were spent revamping the library, moving all this stuff around, and also intensively meeting with all my staff members and saying, what needs to be changed, what do we need to do different, how can we market this more. I let my team librarian have our social media a little bit, and so she's made some videos and been funny and just having fun with it. They're so goofy and like, it's just something fun, like they're cracking up about it, but it's also getting a whole lot of publicity that we haven't had before from people in the community, so we've seen a lot more new faces. So last August, we had 21 programs and averaged about 10 people per program. In August, we only had 2 weeks of programming, so there were 10 programs, and we had 248 people at just 10 programs.
Wow.
Congratulations.
So we had a 150% average increase. So it's been amazing. Like our Fridays, our alphabet sprouts, our preschool age, went from like having 2 kids, and we have about 15 kids on that Friday program. So in that small space with those tables, it's just, we're busting at the seams. Our mayor came by for our tomato fest, and he looked at me and he said, we're going to need to grow here in a couple of years, aren't we? And I was like, yes. I'm glad you're making yourself aware of that. Like, don't talk it, give me the money. So, no, he's great. He's been a friend for years. So I'm looking forward to the way we've been growing and keeping it going that way.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to have Millersville, which is Amy.
We're doing amazing things at our library, trying to pick what I want to talk about, like trying to pick my favorite book, if possible. Our summer reading numbers are great. In the past, you'll see the comparison from last year to this year. We've been able to partner with our community center across the street, and because there's no room in our library, and so we were able to serve so many new families, and it was fantastic. We did 28 total programs. We had special guests come for a bookworm story time, and we had special guests come for a Sing October, which is our great big program. We had 978 people come. We're just doing amazing things. We've been blessed with a great community, and we just try to give that back to them. Our new website that we built in-house went live August 1st, and I think it was really awesome. The colors are friendly for people that have any type of reading disability. And we have chosen the most accessible that was available. So it was, we're doing our best. Limited.
Okay, so are they gray? Are they or is it just because I was waiting for you to say for dyslexia?
Well, it's like so dyslexia, you don't want like numbers that have like heavy like.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so you're talking, I thought you meant because you only had 5 to choose from, and they, never mind. I'm catching that.
That were available on the website. We have our server through GoDaddy, so we just were able to build that all in and do it. It was so much fun, I never want to do it again. I have my syllabus, we update it monthly. We have some new staff, and they've gotten 2 of them have gotten their core competence in the library done. All the other staff are ready to start their training. We've got it. We're hoping to be done by December.
We train?
Yes.
That's exciting.
I'm a big fan of being a perpetual learner, because if we stop learning, how can we expect other people to come to the library and learn? Amen. So for the surplus of Perryville, our community room is unusable right now. Because we just have carts full of books sitting there. And so I've had to put a pause on our meeting, and so they're just sitting on a shelf until we can get this figured out, which is putting a stress on the new books. We don't have space. We had to, it's difficult because it's our one community space in our library, and most times it's not useful now. Any questions?
I do have a question, since I'm from Millersville, I'm real curious, but, are you able to keep that communication with the building across the street and be able to use that space when you need it right now while you're in that?
I hope so. They have someone new hired, she just started last week, and I wasn't here, so I'm gonna try and meet with her soon.
Because I got to be there for some of that, and it was really such a neat,
And we didn't have to pay for it.
space, yeah, that's great.
So hopefully, we're already on the books, but with the turnover,
Yeah.
we just do the best.
All right, thank you.
Great. And then, Carla, Anita. Hey, I was so excited to hear from you.
Oh, great.
Great.
The packet that I gave you today is not what I emailed you and everything. Today what you got is mostly all fluff stuff. So, I mean, you can look through that. It's got the colors. It's got all the little charts that they like to do and things like that. But on the very, very, very last page of the packet, that's kind of a rundown of a few things that I want to go over. I'll just the very, very last page there. In July, I did have one library clerk turn in her notice into a family emergency issue and everything. Got her replaced within 2 weeks, so hopefully that's not going to affect the budget or anything like that. On Saturday, July the 27th, Shannon and also Kaylee with her family came, and Jackie was working a storybook trail opening that we had in Portland. So it actually starts there at the Portland Library parking lot and goes down to the soccer field. I think it's going to go to the soccer field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the park, because we're the playground.
The playground, exactly, yeah. I'm sorry? You would have that, you know. What is it?
Hugo,
Hugo
name.
She is actually was on the books, the stories on the trail committee, so she's part of it, that actually got all that. Very cool. Yeah. Also on that same day, we have a plant swap, and a lot of people just thought that was great and everything, we want to know if we were going to do it again.
Sprouts planted.
We did get our financial things from finance at the end of July, for the end of July and everything, and we actually wound up at 93.2% for last year's budget and everything. So we feel like that was pretty good. One of the issues, or one of the problems that we had was actually medical insurance for employees, and my previous operations manager did her entire family on medical, so it was really high. Well, my office manager now takes no insurance. So that was the big chunk that was left over in that line. If we'd have had that difference, then it would probably have been higher. So, August was really, really kind of crazy for me because of the issue that you're looking at on that page right there. So, I had already figured out I hated Comcast. Comcast, to me, is just their internet, their phones, everything, their billing, was horrible. So, I had already reached out to AT&T to get their fiber internet hooked up. Well, for whatever reason, whether it was connected or not, don't know. I had the AT&T come in on that Tuesday to hook up. On Friday, our Comcast went down. So, whether it was thanks or what, exactly, yeah. But really, really great. Like I said, AT&T showed up on that Tuesday. That Saturday, we had no interruption in service. We actually were able to use our hotspot Wi-Fi with our ATM and everything. The public had no idea we had anything going on. Yeah. So AT&T came, got everything installed. Our IT department was there the same day. They got everything back up and running by like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock that afternoon. We also got our phones, since our phones went out too. Our phones are now through, or what they call digital phones. It's the same system that the building here has. I think we're one of the first ones outside of the building here to have the digital phones. We are still fighting to try to get our original mainline number back. They tell me it's still a possibility, but until then, I did give you our mainline number, and we've already put this on like our website and everything else out there. So that really hasn't been interrupted at all yet. 615-575-0508. Upcoming events and special notices, City of Portland, I've been talking to them, and they actually have us on their agenda to resale our parking lot in October. They're getting that taken care of for us. Our Friends of the Library auction is coming up. It actually does start on October the 22nd and run through November the 16th. A couple of things I don't have on here is our 3rd annual Halloween Spectacular. It's coming up the first Saturday, right before Halloween. That's something we've done like this for several years now. The kids all love it. That's one of our biggest. We have like 200-300 people come to the library on Saturday, so that's really great. Yeah. Dead Poet Hunt, we're going to have that in the museum this year. And, basically, it's just a find it type thing where they go through and try to find the scavenger hunt project or whatever. I don't know if we didn't talk about, but our pet grant did get approved this year for the full amount. So my tech grant got approved for $2,800, and of course that gets matched, so about $5,700, we're gonna use that with IT to, upgrade a bunch of our desktops to the Windows,
Yeah, that's great.
And the very last thing I want to say is that one thing you didn't see down there, after 29 years of being our children's librarian, Linda Ackerman is retiring.
Oh.
She does not want to party, so we try to force that on her. She does not want to party. We do have a box set up there for kids or anybody to write her a letter. And she's going to take that home with her, and she says she'll probably sit there and pull one out every day and cry. So, so the end of this year is when she will be retiring. Probably coming up the 1st of October, I'm going to put out a notice to all the other libraries to see if anybody wants to apply for it, through the library, whatever you want to call it. If we don't find anybody that way, then we'll get Caitlin, and then we'll put it out, and we'll advertise to the public. Yeah. So we're hoping to find somebody as good as Linda. They can be there for another 29 years.
Can you send a reminder to the board as well, because I was definitely about to stop by.
Absolutely. Yeah. She kind of wants the month of December to be, the month that people come by and,
Forget Christmas.
It's really amazing. I mean, she has people coming in that are adults, and say, here's my kid now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You taught me when I was his age, here's my kid.
That's precious.
So, any other questions? Good.
Okay. All right, and then today we have Caitlin from Red River Regional. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing, I touched around an infographic that is, covers all the libraries and their training achievements through 23 and 24. If you want to see per library, I can get you those numbers, just let me know. But I tallied them all together, so 60 staff members total in the libraries, 863 hours of training, which is a lot. Very, very proud of them. They covered several interesting topics: social media marketing, empathy-driven customer service, balancing burnout and stress. I thought that was a cool one to see. Programming for homeschoolers and services. So a lot of good stuff they covered. And then as part of, we have a program through the State Library and Archives called Core Competencies, which we talked about before. It is 28 modules online, and it covers foundational skills for people that are brand new to libraries. So 14 staff members throughout the 5 libraries completed that, which is 10 hours. It's a big deal, and I have actually some certificates that I want to give out and give to the director. So from Hendersonville, Hannah Kozlowski, which I want y'all to know, we have 3 Kozlowskis in this region, and they're all in different libraries.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool, actually.
Hilarious.
That's hilarious.
It's amazing. Christopher Collins, Brittany Corcoran, Jaron Tabb, and then Claudia Gutierrez. There's a bunch from here, and they each get a pen, which is really exciting. And it says certified library staff. And then we have one from Millersville, which I believe is Amy's new operations person, and that's Jeff and Monty. So I will get that to y'all. I'm really pumped. I'm so glad y'all did that.
Congratulations.
Yes, great job. And I will say too, so I did review the library, it's part of the library service agreement that every staff member and director complete training hours throughout the year. So I did review all 5 of theirs and talked with them. Some of them struggled this year, which it happens. But I do want to say that I was really pumped with when I told them, like, hey, here's some concerns for me. Could you improve this? I had some really good conversations with them. So Alicia kind of did a gamification thing this year. So she's encouraging her staff to complete their hours kind of like a competition. And they're loving it. So she's been sending me pictures. Yes, Pac-Man. And so she sends me pictures on Messenger. And then I had a really great conversation with Anita to identify barriers to completing training. So I'm really proud of them. They're so good at responding and adapting to when things are challenging. So I just want to say that. And not for nothing, 863
3 hours is really amazing.
Come on.
Yes, I definitely want to share that. I did send out, Cecilia sent out an email, our legislative trainings for the 24-25 years, so our office provides lots of opportunities, because if we're going to require it from you, we need to make stuff available. So you guys should all have that. I didn't print it out, so you should have it digitally. We only require that the employees have training. You guys aren't required to complete that, but if you ever want to come to any, you're more than welcome to come.
I've been to the new one.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have, yeah. And then, if you know about our office, which you might, we have not had an admin specialist in a long time. So ours retired. We have a new one. We're really pumped about that. Her name is Taylor. I'm just going to say that. Upcoming, she already emailed Joanna, actually. And then upcoming summer reading conferences. So every year, State Library puts on a summer reading conference to discuss the new theme and help libraries get prepared. That's October 8th at, October 8th at the State Library and Archives. Joanna talked about the MOE. That's due October 1st. And as soon as we get that in and get that process, we release second quarter funding to the libraries, which is why Lauren said, the sooner the better. So just FYI. Okay, November 19th and 20th, every year we have what's called a Level 5 Summit, and that is for the biggest libraries in the region. So those that serve over 50,000. So that would be OECS, So we have a summit, and now we have State Library and Archives, so that's for Level 5. Tomorrow is the trustee workshop. I know several of you have signed up. We're excited to see you all see this tomorrow. And then, so we keep track of y'all's appointments to the library board, and ours from last year is very messy, I think, because so much has changed and happened. So Cecilia asked me if I would possibly let you then correct it as you see fit, and if you can send it to us, we would really love that. Okay, and then lastly, Cecilia also sent out to y'all an overview of the standard survey for the state of Tennessee, which might not be as applicable to you. However, in November, she'll bring Sumner County's report. But it's just a full report of the standards that we have, and then a percentage of how many libraries said yes to that standard. So it's broken out by levels. You'll see how many level 1 said yes, all the way to how many level 5 said yes, and then what the average was. So you can compare that to the Sumner County results when we had those in November. She did put on the report, which y'all have digitally, common ones that libraries do not meet. So it's good to think about that. A common one that libraries don't meet, like Joanna says, an annual performance evaluation. So a lot of people struggle with that. So I'm really glad you guys are doing that. Other things, not having a memorandum of understanding with your friends group, that's another one a lot of people don't meet. So several things you can look at, and we can talk about that at any moment. Okay, the very last thing is that Joanna Elliott Daniel, trustee certification. So you thank you so much. And I also have Ruth Sunnell, but she's no longer on the board, I think. So what it's worth.
Good job, Ruth.
Good job, Ruth.
So anyway, that's all for me. All right, wonderful. Oh, I'm sorry. Directors, come to me after the meeting because I have elections down for you to vote. So okay, I just want to. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And all right. Well, it seems that we are at the end, and so I have a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion. All in favor,